Before we start, one of the things I always like to tell people as a matter of disclosure is that I come from what I call the train wreck school of professional ethics. If you imagine a train that's jumped the track, there are a couple of things that happen. In the immediate aftermath of the train, if you imagine it, the steam is still rising from the wreckage and you can hear the people in the wreckage sort of going, The very first thing you have to do is the triage. You have to get out the people who are injured. You have to get the ones who are most seriously injured out first. And in the university, when you have a professional train wreck, whether it's a research misconduct case or a situation where complaints are escalating and the aggression levels are rising, the very first thing you have to do is make sure that you've secured the evidence and protected people from retaliation in the event that things blow up even farther. After that, you clear the tracks so that the trains can run again, and then you engage in the forensic stage, where you try to figure out, why did this train jump the tracks when all the others make it and this one didn't? What happened? Now, the answer that just about everybody always prefers and that we're always looking for is that it was one bad person, preferably somebody we already dislike, who did something horrible, and it was all that person's fault. And of course, in organizations infested with human beings, that's not how troubles happen. That's not how problems arise. When you go in and look at a problem situation after the fact, one of the things that you'll find is that any number of people knew about the problem in advance. They might have not known what to do about it, not known who to say it to, been worried they wouldn't be heard. They could have said something and the communication could have been a complete mismatch. So they intended one thing, assumed that people understood, and the other audience heard something completely different. Sometimes what you have are people who engage in the ostrich approach to complaints and guidelines, which is, oh, if I don't look, maybe it will go away. There's also the three monkeys approach. La 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 la. And none of those are particularly effective for serious problems. So what we're going to talk about today is thinking about avoiding the train wrecks, because I will tell you, having spent a career dealing with professional train wrecks, mostly in universities, there's a certain amount of adrenaline to dealing with a serious problem. You go in, you find out everything, there's that moment where the adrenaline runs and you say, he did what? And, because you can't make up some of this stuff. And then there's a sense of sort of being Solomonic and resolving the problem and doing it all, and you know all about it, and it sort of gives you a sense of importance and why you're doing it. I'll also tell you that after a career of dealing with these problems, the thing that I've learned that's the most fundamental and important lesson for me is that while there's a satisfaction to dealing with the problems, the more interesting, the more challenging, the more creative, the more subtle, and ultimately the best kind of work to do is the prevention that keeps the problems from arising in the first place, so that all of us can spend our time really focusing on what brought us into higher education to begin with. The chance to work with neat students, the chance to make a difference in the world, the chance to leave it better than we found it, the chance to give people an opportunity to change their place in the world, which is this uniquely American concept of higher education. Anybody, anywhere, can go and get an education and change their place in our society. That's a noble and dignified mission, and we need to devote our efforts to preventing the problems so we can get the satisfaction and the students and the faculty we're serving can get the most out of their jobs.